I will be here with him, working on his defense, making sure that this case goes in the right direction.
This is the third time this judge not buying it.
In a court filing late Friday, prosecutors detailing the steps they say Combs is taking while locked up.
Oh my goodness, you won't believe what's happening. One of the biggest names in music is watching his empire crumble. And guess what? His own lawyer just spilled some tea that Diddy definitely wanted to keep under wraps.
1,000 bottles of baby oil.
I don't think it was 1,000. I think it was a lot. I mean, there's a Costco right down the street. You know, I think Americans buy in bulk, as we know.
Now, we all know Diddy, Mr. Power and Control himself. He's always been the one calling the shots, dominating every single space he walks into. But honey, let me tell you, what's happening behind those closed doors right now? Even his famous cool as a cucumber act is starting to crack. The drama in these legal battles is reaching fever pitch, darlings. Word on the street is that he had this absolutely explosive showdown with his attorney. We're talking secrets spilling everywhere, tempers flaring. And you know what's really fascinating? It all ties back to Diddy's obsessive need to control everything. His life, his brand, just everything.
African-American males get to see something positive. Not just who shot him this week, not the unemployment rate, not what they can't do, not incarceration, you know?
Get this. Diddy's lawyer apparently dropped this massive bombshell. We're not sure if it was during some private chat or if they accidentally let it slip during legal proceedings, but whatever it was, it sent Diddy into an absolute meltdown. And let's be real, this isn't the first time we've seen this kind of behavior from him.
Now, it was this documentary that claimed, which we know wasn't true.
Yeah, check this out. We don't talk about things that are nonsense. We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother. So we're not even going to go there, with all due respect, but I appreciate you as a journalist asking. Thank you.
Because you, listen, 7 years ago, I'd have been like, yo, did you hire somebody to kill Pop? But no, you have to do it like a journalist.
Yeah, no, I mean, we wouldn't even get into nonsense like that. You know what I'm saying? It's nonsense.
Which we never believed, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Has his fortune from that been decimated since the fallout of this?
Yes. The answer to your last question is absolutely yes. And so to back that up, Revolt TV was founded to showcase hip-hop culture, youth creators, and it had some pretty successful programming. I believe Drink Champs is one of their most famous or most popular programs. And he had a little over 50% stake in that network. And what we were led to believe was that it was an equity stake, meaning that he had financial control over the company. A source that was close to the finances of Revolt said that that wasn't true, that his equity stake essentially just controlled the voting rights of the company. So he didn't really have a lot of financial say, meaning that that stake he did have in Revolt would be worth less. If you have financial control over the company, that's worth a lot. If you're just controlling, the voting, which is essentially what decisions the business makes, it's not worth as much.
Has Revolt responded to this at all?
They have, yes. The day that they announced that Diddy no longer had any stake in the company, their CEO, Datavio Samuel, said that they are going to hand Diddy shares over to employees. It's meant to be a way of equalizing everyone's place within the company, to have let everyone have skin in the game, essentially. It's also meant to be a way to drive or generate wealth for employees who have come from marginalized backgrounds, in which wealth generation is a huge component of getting ahead in corporate America.
People who were there say Diddy absolutely lost it, like completely lost it. This man who's always so smooth, so charismatic, just completely dropped his cool guy act and started hurling accusations and demands left and right.
All right, so Sean Combs' legal team has just raised, I would say, a new issue, sort of new issue to the court, and we're going to address it right now, and it concerns, of all things, believe it or not, access to a laptop while he's in the Metropolitan Detention Center, the MDC, where he's currently locked up while he's waiting trial next year. And before I even go into the defense's letter, I said it was new, but really, this is an issue that has come up before. You see, Sean Combs' defense lawyers, they have argued that the conditions at the MDC make it incredibly difficult for him to properly review evidence in the case and prepare for trial. And yes, he has a constitutional right to prepare for his trial. But they have been arguing for quite some time that because of the incredible amount of material in this case, you really can't do it without a laptop. He needs a laptop to review everything. I mean, this is a massive case. Combs is accused of sex trafficking, racketeering conspiracy, transportation to engage in prostitution, and they are looking at him allegedly operating a criminal enterprise from 2008 to 2024. That is a long, long time period. And when he was first arrested, prosecutors at the time, they said they interviewed more than 50 victims and witnesses. They obtained over 90 cell phones, laptops, over 30 electronic and storage devices, firearms, physical evidence, records that were obtained pursuant to over 300 grand jury subpoenas and voluntary production. Think about how much stuff there is.
For years, darling, this man has been like a magic act, deflecting all those nasty rumors and accusations with his charm and that powerful personality of his. But now that his own attorney is spilling the beans, even Diddy's PR machine might not be able to spin this one.
There's really no deal that the U.S. Attorney's Office can offer, and it's certainly not one that Diddy will accept. It would involve decades in federal prison. We're talking about mandatory minimum sentences of 10 years for both the charges and the sex trafficking. So we know that Diddy has fought charges before. There were state charges, there were gun-related, the nightclub shooting with J-Lo, but he's going to dig in his heels, and this case is going to trial. So if you're prosecutors, you really want to make sure that your evidence is bulletproof before you go down that route.
Here's the tea. People are wondering if someone in his inner circle is plotting against him, leaking all this juicy info to bring him down. Or maybe, just maybe, Diddy's paranoia is getting the best of him, making him see enemies everywhere he looks. Either way, let me tell you, he is not handling this well.
I just got some information myself, man, because it was strange to me that every month he's going up for a bail hearing, and I know that seems strange to a lot of people. But when I spoke to my people over in the courts that I have over there, they told me when people got a lot of money and they got lawyers that can come up with different reasons and different information and present it to the courts, that they are able to get how many bail hearings, as long as you got different information to present to the court, different evidence to present to the court that'll help his case or whatever to get bail, they'll have one every month or every other month or whatever the lawyers present that. So you got to realize he got a lot of money. He still got a lot of money because he's paying these high-profile lawyers to take this case. So in having them to take this case, they're able to construct a lot of information together to making sure that when they go to the courts, they can say, yo, Your Honor, listen here. This is something that's changed. This is something that's new. This is something that's different. And doing that, that's giving them the opportunity to see can they get him bail. And it looked like he might get bail.
But you know what's absolutely wild? Instead of laying low, Diddy's out here being bolder than ever. He just posted this super cryptic message on social media about betrayal and staying strong, saying, when they try to tear you down, remember who you are. Like, was he throwing shade at his attorney? Or is this just another one of his PR tricks?
He's just laser focused. He's engaged. He's helpful. He's confident. You know, we're going through our defense as we do every day, and his spirits are relatively good. I mean, you know, it's always difficult to be in a place like this, but I can tell you, the staff has been helpful and really, you know, wonderful to us. They've given us full access to him. I have no complaints whatsoever, and I'll be coming here every day. So, you know, every day until he's out, I will be here with him, working on his defense, making sure that this case goes in the right direction, which results in him leaving this building.
Now, this is where it gets really messy. Prosecutors say he's been using this prison texting app to send hundreds of messages to people he's not supposed to be talking to, including his own children. And get this, they think he's trying to influence potential jurors through social media.
New details this morning in the sex trafficking case against Sean Diddy Combs. Prosecutors now claiming that from behind bars, Combs has been trying to reach out to victims and possible witnesses. And ABC's Phil Lipoff is here now with this story. Good morning, Phil.
Good morning, Gio. Diddy's lawyers trying for a third time to get him out on bail, but this time, the prosecution telling the judge about attempts they say the rap mogul made from behind bars to influence everyone from potential jury to alleged victims.
Who's the boss? Dudes is lost. Don't think cause I'm iced out, I'ma cool off.
This morning, prosecutors leveling new accusations against Sean Diddy Combs, saying he poses a serious risk of danger even from behind bars as he awaits trial. In a court filing late Friday, prosecutors detailing the steps they say Combs is taking while locked up to reach out to prospective witnesses and influence public opinion to affect potential jurors.
The accusations within the prosecution's motion to deny bail are very serious and will be considered very heavily by the judge, because the judge is going to want to ensure that he is not influencing witnesses and or contacting anyone to influence a trial in any way.
Combs has pleaded not guilty to charges of racketeering, transportation to engage in prostitution, and sex trafficking. He denies any wrongdoing. The government now asking a judge not to grant Combs' third request for bail, in which the music mogul offers a $50 million bail package citing new evidence and changed circumstances.
My heart just breaks hearing this next part. Dozens of people have come forward with these absolutely horrifying stories. Some were even underage at the time, claiming they were manipulated, threatened, and some even say they were physically harmed.
New details in Sean Diddy Combs' ongoing legal battle have been uncovered. The music mogul, who is currently in jail awaiting trial on federal charges of racketeering, sex trafficking, and prostitution, to which he's pled not guilty, is facing several sexual assault allegations from over 100 people. And now one of his accusers has been revealed to be Anna Kane, the ex-wife of NHL star Evander Kane, according to court documents obtained by TMZ on December 6th.
The prosecutors aren't done either. They're hinting at even more charges coming. And it's not just Diddy they're looking at. Apparently others might have been involved in this whole operation.
The music mogul is accused of threatening and abusing multiple victims over years. Prosecutors say he had a lot of help, and those alleged accomplices are now in their sights. Our senior investigative correspondent Aaron Tursky has the latest. Good morning, Aaron.
Good morning to you, George. With Sean Combs locked up here at this federal jail, investigators are now turning to his inner circle. This morning, as hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs fights racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and prostitution charges, investigators are working to determine who his co-conspirators were and whether they too should be charged.
Lisa Bloom, who's representing one of the accusers, dropped this bombshell. They've got phone tracking data showing over 100 points of contact between Diddy and someone who later called her client a liar. The plot thickens.
That's exactly right. So we sit around a table like this. He's sworn to tell the truth. It's the same oath that you take in a court of law. There's a court reporter who takes it down. There's a videographer, and I ask him questions that are relevant to the case.
Right.
And he's required to answer my questions.
And so he has to take part in this. There's no chance for him to duck it or avoid it, as I'm sure he would like to.
I'm sure he will duck it and avoid it and delay it, and his attorneys will do everything possible. But ultimately, every party in a lawsuit has to sit for a deposition. So you can't get out of it. You can delay, but you can't get out of it entirely.
When Judge Suberman spoke, honey, it was not pretty. The court basically said there's no way they can guarantee the safety of the community if, well, you know what I mean.
Talk to you about that breaking news before the break. We are just learning that a judge has denied another one of rapper Sean Diddy Combs' requests to be released on bail. Remember, he's behind bars at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn waiting for his trial to get started next year in May. He's been detained for 2 months on charges of sex trafficking and racketeering, which he's pled not guilty to. Chloe Malas is following this for us. We were waiting for this decision. We got it in now. What do we know?
All right, well, it's 5 pages, and the takeaway here is that the judge is saying that no condition or combination of conditions will reasonably assure the safety of the community. And that was what New York prosecutors were saying. I was in court twice last week, and I listened to these prosecutors say that he was a danger to the community, and they showed that video, that surveillance video of him from 2016 brutally beating his then girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, saying that he has a propensity to violence, and that alone is a reason why we cannot agree to the proposed bail package. Now, his team had offered $50 million, a home of his in Miami as collateral, and they said that he would live in an apartment on Manhattan's Upper East Side, monitored by 24-hour security, that he would only talk to his attorneys, that he would only have, certain family members on a pre-approved list, and that, he would actually be under stricter conditions than he is at the jail in Brooklyn. But clearly, this is the 3rd time.
Yeah.
This judge not buying it.
What was Diddy like in court? You were there twice last week. What was his demeanor like?
I mean, he was smiling on Friday, turned around and looked at his children. All of his children were there except for his infant child. His mother was there. He looked a little thinner. He looked a little worse for wear, but he has seemed upbeat and positive. And a few days earlier on Wednesday, so a week ago today, his legal team had a win, because his team was able to say that New York prosecutors wrongly obtained 16 pages of notes from his jail cell during a routine sweep, that it had his defense strategy, it had witnesses that they planned to call at the criminal trial in May, and the judge agreed that those should have been protected under attorney-client privilege. So there was a feeling today among reporter friends of mine and people in the building here that, maybe there's a chance that the judge, given he's taking several days to think about this, he asked for both sides to write a letter, that he might release him. But this is the third time. His team were waiting for a response from them, from his legal team. They could appeal again, but we were talking to Danny Savalos earlier, and he said, they would have to propose something new and different.
Diddy's always been defiant. It's like his trademark. But with all this evidence piling up and people starting to see through the cracks, even his legendary willpower might not be enough to save him this time.
I think he's going to go to the prison for the rest of his natural life. The federal guidelines are going to be astronomical. There's so much that they've gotten in the search warrant from Miami and LA, and he's really looking at sex trafficking with a lot of aggravating factors.
Which is the most serious for him?
The RICO encompasses all the other statutes. So it's the sex trafficking and then all the other enhancements with that. So guidelines, he's probably looking at in excess of 300 months. Those are just the guidelines.
I mean, I saw that he, through his lawyers, they put a bail package proposal that included a $50 million bond co-signed by Combs, his mother, and other family members. It was to include home detention, surrender of his passport, weekly test, a visitor log that would be submitted to pretrial services each night. But that was rejected. I mean, that in itself said to me just how serious the trouble is for Diddy Combs.
Well, you have a situation where this is a presumptive detention situation. In other words, the defense has to rebut the presumption. And while this is all going on, we have witness tampering, we've got potential bribes of witnesses, and then we also have possession of and ammunition and firearms that are obliterated serial numbers. And then he was on his plane trying to go somewhere earlier in the year. So we have a situation where there's a risk of flight and definitely a danger to the public and a potential obstruction of justice.
So what do you think? Is this finally it for Diddy? Are those walls really closing in? Or will he somehow manage to slip through again like he always does? Drop your thoughts in those comments below, and don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring that notification bell, because trust me, this story is far from over and you do not want to miss what happens next.